Alright, back in Hammer. Let's zoom in for a second. Yeah, you see how pronounced those angles are? If we had more, his walk would have been smoother, but that's something you can do on your own. Moving ahead, let's start deleting stuff we don't need again. First, we can get rid of the AI scripted schedule, so select that and press delete. Also, we can get rid of the seagull, so delete him too. Now we should probably delete all these path corners, but it's going to be kind of bothersome to delete them one by one, so I'm going to show you a faster way. Go up to Map here, then Entity Report. This lists every entity you're using in your map. So we're going to scroll down the path corner, select the first one, then hold Shift, and select the bottom one. Notice how this has highlighted all of them in the map now. Then just press delete and they're all gone. And you can close this window now. This is just something handy to know when you deal with a bunch of the same entity. Okay, so now we're going to learn about moving characters using scripted sequences. Scripted sequences can also be used to animate your characters in a more forceful way. However, they're not nearly as flexible as scene files, so I don't usually use them unless I have to. We'll touch a little bit on how to animate with them here as well. So the first step is to go to the Entity tool and select a scripted sequence. Then place it where you want your character to end up. I'm putting it behind the curb here, and while we're on the topic, let me show you something else. I actually cheated a bit for Galaxy Gulp and made part of the curb completely non-solid. If you select the brush and turn it into the Entity Function brush, you can tell it to be non-solid so anything can pass right through it. While characters can walk over curbs like this, they tend to jolt straight up as they do it, which looks a little bizarre, so I chose to just not make it an issue. Remember, in Machinima, the game doesn't have to play well, it just has to look good on screen. Actually, I'll double click on it here so you can see it. Notice the solidity tag and how it's set to never solid. This is really something better left to a mapping tutorial, but I thought I'd point it out so you don't wonder what's happening when he walks right through the curb later. So close that, then we'll start learning how to use the scripted sequence here. You can see the distance is a little far on this, and the same distance limit applies. However, I'll cover how to get around that in a minute. For now, just double click on it. And we need to give it a name, so I'm calling it Script. And for target NPC, we're just going to type in Cop. Now it gets confusing. You'll notice it has a pre-action idle animation, entry animation, action animation, post-action idle animation, custom move animation, etc. Scripted sequences are like a big sandwich of animations you can play. However, I've had difficulty getting all of them to work reliably. Really, if you need a bunch of animations to play one after the other like this, you're probably better off using scene files anyway. But I'll show you how to play a simple one in a minute. For now, let's go down to Move to Position. This tells us how and if the NPC should move to where the scripted sequence is located. He can walk, run, use a custom movement, teleport there instantly, or not move there at all. We're just going to tell him to walk, though custom movement in particular can be useful. If you were to select this, you could go to the custom move animation here and specify which animation you want him to play when he moves towards the scripted sequence. So if you have an animation of him doing cartwheels, you could use that here. Unfortunately, you have to know the exact name of what to type here. It doesn't give you a list of options. Another reason I'm not crazy about scripted sequences. So anyway, let's change this back to walk, then apply, and close this for the moment. And just to be educational, I'm going to show you how to play an animation after he's done walking. But first I need to look up the name of the animation. So double click on the Metrocop, then go to the Model tab. Here you can preview all the animations available for the model, though it's not very intuitive. I'm going to try and find an animation of him ducking. If I can find it. Oh, there we are. Crouch Idle Pistol. Now once you have that, just select it, then right-click on Copy. Then close this window and head back to the scripted sequence. Now under Post-Action Idle Animation, right-click and press Paste. This will cause him to play the animation once he's done moving. And then go to the Flags tab for a second. Under here we can check Loop and Post Idle, meaning he'll just keep playing that animation forever. And you can actually check a few more here that won't hurt, like Override AI, Priority Script, and No Interruptions. These will pretty much ensure that he'll do his thing and not get distracted. And we're not going to use this, but it's worth noting that there's a Start on Spawn option here. So if you wanted a scripted sequence to run as soon as the map started, there's the option here. As with many things in Hammer, There's another way to accomplish this that I'll talk about later on. Alright, so let's hit apply and close. Now let's check our distance. About 650 units away. That means this scripted sequence probably won't work by default. So let's talk about how to extend the range. The way we do this is by using an entity called info nodes. These are clues that the AI uses to navigate. So go to the entity tool, then look for info node. Now just place a few of these leading to the scripted sequence, like breadcrumbs Hansel and Gretel style. Now it's worth noting that these are just guidelines for the AI, so if you put these all over the place, your character won't behave predictably each time. Even the way it is now might not behave exactly the same way. Okay, our last step is to activate this sequence. So go and double click on the trigger again, and go to Output. And we can just delete one of the old and modify the other. This time we want on trigger, the entity script, and we want it to begin sequence. Now hit apply and close. Now go to File, Save As, Motion 3. And File, Run Map. Actually, whenever you run your map, it automatically saves it, but I want to keep these separate so you can look at them later. Most of you probably know that women live longer than men on average. But one thing I've always wondered is how much of that is genetic and how much is simply men getting killed sooner. Statistically, men are way more likely to do stuff that gets them killed. Insurance companies know this. Men have to pay a lot more on car insurance since they're more likely to do things that'll get them in a wreck. Women are less likely to find out if their car can go 150 miles an hour or not. Anyway, I haven't seen any statistics on who lives longer due to natural causes. Just something to think about. Okay, starting our sequence. He's walking. And he's going straight to the curb like he's a ghost. And now he's ducking and staying that way. Exactly what he's supposed to do. Alright, let's go back to Hammer for the exciting conclusion of Method 4.